that is a major problem. It's okay to want to be healthy, right? It is okay that you eat healthy food, you maintain your diet. It is fine. But anything on the extreme, like you not eating at all, right? Which is affecting your health, your physical health, making you very, very thin, and then your immunity goes down and all that will really cause for. There are people who have died of anorexia. That is because they have stopped eating, right? There are many celebrities like that who died to become thin. They want to have very thin and very slim waist and all like that. I remember in our time, the Carpenters, a very popular singer, pop singers. One of the singer, she was having this issue, and the doctors discovered that she died of anorexia. Okay, so that is what is anorexia nervosa is all about. Just in case you want. Another one is bulimia nervosa. Bulimia nervosa is they have a tendency to eat. Like, these people, they want to keep on binging. Like every 5 minutes, they want to put something in them. But then they feel so guilty about it. Like, now I'm feeling like, I have the crave. I want to eat chips. I want to eat cakes. I want to eat pastry. All I stuff it. Then it becomes, very the thing. And then I feel so bad. My God, what all things I've eaten. Then they go into the, washroom and they try to purge and bring out everything. Okay, that's a problem. Okay, so these are very common among the adolescents. So you see, eating disorders are complex illness that are affecting adolescents with increasing frequency. They are ranked third most chronic illness in the adolescent females. In modern societies, where thinness is rather consistently emphasized, concerns about body weight are increasing and becoming evident, right? Increasingly young age, particularly young girls. Okay, so you read up a little more about all this, you'll be able to understand. So the adolescent eventually develops eating disorder, such as anorexia nervosa or bulimia. Between 0.5% and 1%, all females aged between 12 to 18 are anorexic, right? That is a teenage, you see, 12 to 18, right? And 1 to 3% are bulimic, right? Which is perhaps 20% engaging in less extreme, but still unhealthy dieting behaviors. Although boys can also have this eating disorder, the large majority are female. That is 90% of this problem is with the female young people, because they are very conscious about how they look. They keep comparing themselves to the other celebrities, that they have to look like this and that. The effects of eating disorder starts early in adolescence. Like they tend to last throughout life since its progress is chronic. Behaviors including apoptosis, binge eating, self-vomiting, and a desire to become slim become psychologically threatening for family members and other people around these patients. They find themselves at a loss as to how to cope with the behavior. Moreover, since it is difficult to treat the disorders, malnutrition will occasionally lead to fatal outcome or suicidal behaviors. Eating disorders are not only disease about eating behavior, such as simply eating or not eating, they are diseases that affect physical and psychological conditions of the patient and social environment. Anorexia nervosa is less common than bulimia and tends to start somewhat in younger adolescents. Binge eating and night eating syndrome are eating disorders. They are primarily found among obese persons. Athletes who need to maintain certain weights for competition may resort to extreme weight loss. Okay, I'm on page number 116. Okay, so basically these two things are in eating disorder. Remember, anorexia nervosa and bulimia. These are two of the common ones, and the reason and how people eat, and afterwards when they are not able to digest, they want to drink laxatives and do everything. There may be adolescent in extreme commitment in order to exercise. Okay, yeah, the consequence of eating disorders are potentially very serious, resulting to death in most extreme cases. Eating disorders are associated with serious biological, psychological, and sociological morbidity and significant mortality. It is essential to diagnose eating disorder in the context of multiple varied aspects of normal pubertal growth, adolescent development, and eventual attainment of healthy health. See, now this is the phase for them, right? This is the phase, so many changes are happening and they encounter these issues now. But as they move on, when they become 20, 21, 22, they gain certain level of maturity, certain level of understanding. These things subside. The hormone levels also subside. A normal development takes place. Like for women, they may be in the irregular periods and all that stuff. But once they move on, the periods become regular. They stop. Their height, they grow at one stage. If they have been very fat in between, like 13, 14, 15, suddenly they start slimming down. They get a very nice, beautiful, figure like that. Same thing with the boys, growing taller. Everything gets normalized. But during this period of normalizing process is what the issues come in. So it's a temporary phase. We need to understand this, that this is a phase that is come to go. So what are the psychological factors and effects? A complex combination of psychological, physical, family, environmental, social factors are thought to be involved at the very least at the onset of eating disorder. Those who have low self-esteem or suffer from lack of self-control due to physical trauma or traumatic experiences in the family history tend to resort early towards dieting and other measures, reducing their body weight in order to gain a sense stability and self-control. Daughters of women with eating disorders at particular are risk for developing eating disorder themselves. This means it is running in the gene. Like if the mother is having this issue, right? So there is all possibility the daughter also can have this issue. And this is also psychologically, it is also related to the kind of self-concept you have about yourself. That is the self-esteem, right? If you think that I'm too fat, I need to have a very slim body, I need to look like this, I need to look like, and I'm constantly comparing with my other peers, then what happened? Then I want to become thin and I want to do it fast, right? And then I start, developing these issues of not wanting to eat, right? I don't eat, I don't drink water, right? With all thinking that I may become slimmer, but actually the opposite also can happen. And other problems can also start because of this. Okay. So this is a phase, it's going to go. You just have to continue to be moderate in your eating patterns, right? And sometimes there will be family issues, right? When there will be too many family issues, the adolescents are not able to deal, maybe constant fighting among the parents, or there is misunderstanding, or there is a divorce, or there is a kind of a diagnosis. So they are very disturbed. Sometimes what happens when the adolescents are disturbed, they don't know how to handle this kind of feelings, these emotions. So what happens? There is a tendency to overeat, binge eating under. They'll just take, something, whatever, comfort eating also. It is called, I'm feeling very sad, I'm feeling very, so I want to eat a box of ice cream. I feel good about myself, or I want to eat a biryani, or I want to eat every day some oily food like this. So it is a kind of a pattern that comes because of the issues that is happening in the families or maybe surroundings. Okay. So and it is also running in the gene. So eating disorder often accompanied by serious mental disorder, mood disorders, anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and personality disorder are commonly seen, right? So these are very common disorders that can occur when the issues in the adolescent stage are not addressed, right? When they are not dealt in an appropriate way, in a way that way they are able to learn to accept themselves, as they are learn to love themselves, learn to forgive themselves, and learn to stop comparing themselves with others, start practicing gratitude, for whatever you have, be content, and maybe exercise more, meditate, do yoga, practice self affirmations. When you do all this kind of thing, these problems can be prevented. Okay. So it is accompanied by the serious mood disorders. Okay. Obsessive compulsive disorder, obsessions of thoughts, like you can think too negative of yourself, always thinking negative thoughts. When it becomes too much, it becomes an obsession. When it becomes an obsession, what happens? Even if you don't do anything, automatically your mind will start thinking that way, right? Just like remember a computer. Whatever you feed in the computer, only the computer will give the printout, right? If you're constantly feeding in your brain is a computer, constantly feeding thoughts of negativity, like, I'm not good, I'm not good looking, I'm not thin, I am dark, I'm short, I'm fat, idanti. When you constantly keep doing that, what will happen? You will develop a kind of a self-hatred. You will kind of develop a kind of, self-esteem will become low. Low confidence level will go down, and you will keep on comparing. You'll say, see, she's so nice. See how thin she is. See how nice she is. She's got long hair. She looks so good. So this comparison is a sure shot to sadness, sure shot to feeling depressed, feeling all these kind of things. And in that process, what happens to cope with those kind of feelings? I tend to overeat, or I'm so angry, I don't want to eat. So either I'm overeating or I'm not eating at all. Both are bad. అస్సలు తినకుండా ఉండడం will develop nervosa, right? Anorexia nervosa. ఎక్కువ తిని వామిటింగ్ చేయడము will develop bulimia nervosa. And if people already in our family have such kind of a tendencies, మన genes లలో ఉంటే, మదర్కి ఉంటే, లేకుంటే ఫ్యామిలీలో ఉంటే, it will run in the thing and it will develop other disorders also with the moods, the anxiety disorders, personality disorder. So drug dependency is also associated with eating disorder, and alcoholism is a common borderline, common problem in bulimia nervosa. Right? Among various personality disorder, complications with borderline personality disorder tend to become problematic. This type of disorder that is characterized by acute emotional instability and unstable interpersonal relationship. Although more research is needed, some strategies hypothesized to protect adolescents in general from developing an eating disorder or an obsession with weight. Some people want to keep on checking their weight every month, every week. Right? 1 week they fast and they want to check how much kilo have gone down. Okay. So promoting the acceptance of a broad range of appearance, protecting adolescents from abusive experiences, educating adolescents and their families about detrimental consequences of negative focus on weight, and promoting positive self-image and body image, promoting positive focus on sources of self-esteem and other physical experience, such as academic, artistic, or athletic. Now, these are the things that will help the adolescent deal with this problem of eating disorder. Now, you take one by one, you see, promoting the accept of broad range of appearance. Broad range of appearance, see, there are different people with different kind of height, weight, but everybody is beautiful in their own way, because each person is unique. Okay, they are irrepeatable. There is no two same people are same. Okay, so believe that you are original, right? If you find any adolescent who are having these problems, help them to understand that however you are, whether you are short, you are dark, or you are tall or fair, whatever it is, whether you are thin, you are beautiful. That is the key thing. You are beautiful. There is nobody like you in this whole wide world, right? You are unique, right? You are irrepeatable in the history of time, which will help them to accept their experiences, right? Because our experiences also come from the gene. No? We have a tendency to look like mommy or look like daddy or look like an uncle or an aunt. It's running in the family, right? So some faces, we can look at the faces only and say, they belong to that family. Same face this person had. Kada. So promote the acceptance. Accept everybody is beautiful, everybody is you. There are no different ways. So stop comparing yourself with others. Don't let anybody also compare you. Just accept yourself as you are, however you are, whatever background you come from, wherever you come from. Okay. Protecting adolescents from abusive experience. And some adolescents, they are very vulnerable. Vulnerable ante, I don't know the Telugu word pramadam, ప్రమాదకరమైన పరిస్థితి, దే విల్ సే వెరీ వనరబుల్. అంటే చాలా వాళ్ళు ఆ ఏజ్ గ్రూప్ కి రిస్కీగా ఉంటారు. ఓకే, సో దే మైట్ వితౌట్ సమ్ పీపుల్ మే గెట్ ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ బై ద పియర్, like the peer group, and they may be led to try alcohol experimentation. It's an experimentation phase also. They want to try alcohol, they want to make friends with them, girlfriends, they want to have boyfriends will want to have girlfriends will have boyfriends. It is all, instinctively because of the kind of hormones that is produced at that particular time, which will give attraction to that. Okay, so how do you protect adolescent from abusive experiences? When you help the adolescent to understand that they are good enough, right? That they are good, that they are beautiful, and they have something to do in life. They have a goal in life. They have a set of talents in their life. They have a purpose for their life. When they know about this, then they are very likely to be getting into risky behaviors or abusive form of experiences, because they do not know. Many a time adolescents do not know. They do not understand the consequences. So they get into risky kind of behaviors. They may try alcohol and become alcoholic addicts, or they may try ganja, or they may try some other thing, substances which is harmful or hazardous for health. Okay, promoting positive self-image and body. This I already told you. Love yourself as you are. Accept your body as it is. There's nothing for us to be ashamed of. Whatever body we got, we got. This is the only one body we will have for this life. We won't have a second, right? So that way, when we accept, we promote a positive self-image. So when we learn to accept ourselves as we are, without any conditions, నేను అలా ఉంటే బాగుండేది, ఇలా ఉంటే అలా కాకుండా however I am, నేను ఎలా ఉన్నానో అలా నేను బాగున్నాను. From that kind of a concept, I'll be able to accept also other
మళ్ళీ
person.
రాస్తావా?
Okay?
ఆగొద్దా, వెయిట్ చేయాలి మమ్మీ కొద్దిసేపు.
But
అంటే బ్యాంక్
educating
అకౌంట్ లో పడలే అయితే salary వాళ్ళు.
can you please mute
అయితే
ma'am?
మరి
Ma'am, wait 1 second. Teja, 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 mute your mic.
Please mute.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So educating adolescents and their families are the consequence of negative focus on weight. Okay, so some adolescents may be too much focusing on the weight. They may not be very fat, but they will be thinking, oh, no, I'm very fat, I'm very fat. Or they may be focusing on becoming too thin. So help them understand that whatever is the body weight they have and all, it is only a temporary phase. As they move on, it will normalize, right? They will become into beautiful young men and women, right? Then promoting positive focus on sources of self-esteem and other physical appearance such as academic, artistic, okay? So it is not only the physical that makes a person beautiful. And it's just not the physical features of how I look, how my face is, how my eyes is, how my nose. It is the kind of talents that I have, the capacities that I have. Like, some may be very good in painting, some may be very good in drawing, some may be very good in singing. Like, there are so many other talents. When you promote those aspects, your self-esteem increases. When your self-esteem increases, your confidence level will increase. When your confidence level increases, you get motivated. When you get motivated, you'll tend to do well in academics. When you tend to do well in academics, you succeed. And when you succeed, you grow. And when you grow, you are prosperous. Okay? So everything is linked to one another. Okay? So this is all about how you need to deal with your eating disorders. Okay? Of the adolescent. The next one is a substance abuse. Now, what is a substance abuse? There are so many things written here, but I want you to understand substance abuse. Okay? Now, there are different forms of substances, right? These substances, when taken, will alter our moods, will alter our motor skills, right? And it will disturb our cognitive abilities. అంటే మన ఆలోచన విధానాలు, మనము అర్థం చేసుకున్న విధానం, మన మోటార్స్, ఎవ్రీథింగ్ విల్ గెట్ డిస్టర్బ్. ఇది ఎప్పుడైతుంది? వెన్ యూ టేక్ అ సబ్స్టెన్స్. సబ్స్టెన్స్ అంటే ఏంటి? Substance means it can be anything. Like it can be beer, it can be whiskey, it can be rum, it can be vodka, and it can also be cigarettes. It can also be ganja. It can also be charas. It can also be that now we get, no, what is that local, these things we get, ఇది వేసుకుంటారు కదా, గుట్కా. Gutka, yes?
Drugs,
Gutka?
completely drugs.
Very good. So drugs, all this, ఇదంతా కలిపి మాట్లాడితే, when you put all these things together, alcohol, ఇప్పుడు లోకల్ ఉంటుంది, కల్లు అంటారు, సారా అంటారు, right? All this, కల్లు, సారా, whiskey, rum, గుట్కా, and drugs, మళ్ళీ గాంజా and charas, అదంతా కలిపి మాట్లాడినప్పుడు substance అంటారు. When you put all this together, it is called substance. Let us see what the book says. Substance abuse refers to harmful or hazardous. I'm on page number 117. Psychotic substances, including alcohol and illicit drugs. Psychoactive substances use can lead to dependency syndrome, a cluster of behavior, cognitive and physiological phenomena that develop after repeated substance use, and that typically include a strong desire to take the drug, difficulties in controlling its use, persisting in its despite harmful consequences, a higher priority given to drug use than the other activities and obligation, increased tolerance, and sometimes physical withdrawal stage. Okay, people are most likely to begin abusing drugs, including tobacco, alcohol, inka add church mandintlo, right? And other forms of drugs, right? Like ganja, charas, adanta. Okay, an illegal prescription of drugs. అంటే sometimes psychiatric drugs ఇస్తారు ఎవరికైనా. ఇప్పుడు స్లీపింగ్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి, డిప్రెషన్ లో ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి, లేకుంటే some people is taking treatment for anxiety disorder కానీ.
Yeah, antidepressant medicines and
yeah, very good. So all those
like olanzapine, alprazolam.
Yeah, sorry.
Olanzapine and alprazolam drugs.
I didn't get you. Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Olanzapine tablets and alprazolam combination drugs.
Okay, yeah. So that's what. So prescription of drug during adolescence and young adulthood. There are many reasons for adolescents to use the substances. including the desire for experiences and attempt to deal with the problems or to perform better in school or peer pressure. Adolescents are biologically wired to seek new experiences and take risks as well as to carve out their own identity. Trying drugs may fulfill all the normal developmental drives, but in an unhealthy way that can be serious to long-term consequences. Okay, so when you're talking about substances, why do people take substances? Basically, they want to have some pleasure, or basically they want to solve some problem, or they want to get away from situations, or they want to even experiment. Adolescent lo emundi, basically these young people, that is the age group of adolescent, that is 12 to 18 or 19 years, no, they want to experiment. Sometimes what happens in the families, there'll be people taking substances like alcohol, which is a very common thing, right? For all the marriages or maybe for some kind of functions, alcohol is a must in some of the homes, some of the families, in some communities, right? Which is a common. So these youngsters may watch and they may want to say, hey, the elders are taking, let us try. So they may experiment it. So in the process of experimenting, when they feel it is good, it is give them a high, they can get into it. Similarly with smoking, peer pressure can be one reason. 4 or 5 people, maybe the boys or the girls, they can get together and they think, why not we try this? Let us smoke today and see how it feels like smoking. There are so many things that is new developments are happening. Okay, so experimental stage, peer pressure, or they are worried about something, right? There is some problem in the family. They don't know how to get away with that, and then they get into wrong company, and they say maybe if you take 1 peg or 2 peg, all your problems will solve. So when they take that, they feel very high. They feel at the top of the world, right? And then they feel, okay, this is the best medicine, right? It is going to
They'll get relaxed minded in that time.
Or maybe many a times, see, I work for the university. So many a times I get students coming to me and telling me, madam, I'm a hand itch in the madam. So that means love failure, like relationship issues. So very common, relationship issues are very common for me. Every second person I get, they will tell me, madam, so many years we are there, from degree we are friends. నేను ఎంత హెల్ప్ చేసినా, చదువులో హెల్ప్ చేసినా, బుక్స్ ఆమెకు ఏం కూడా తెలియదు, యూనివర్సిటీలో నేను లైబ్రరీ చూపించిన, ఆమెకు ఇది చేసిన అది చేసిన, లాస్ట్ కి ఇప్పుడు హ్యాండ్ ఇచ్చింది. ఐ మీన్ ఆఫ్టర్ 5 years of relationship. So he doesn't know how to do. So అందుకే నేను మొత్తం బాటిల్ దింపేశాను మేడం. So he has consumed one whole bottle of alcohol. Or sometimes the girls will come and tell me, I really don't know, ma'am. I'm feeling so sad because now today we just broke up. I broke up and then I tried to self-harm. And then she will come and show me all the cuts in her hands. Then I want to just kill myself. So these are the kind of risk, but it can be alcohol and substance abuse. Under that influence, they can also get into risky behaviors. They can even get suicidal. So all these are kind of issues an adolescent face, right? So కొంచెం ఎక్స్పెరిమెంటేషన్ స్టేజ్ లో స్టార్ట్ చేసి కొంచెం ఆల్కహాల్ లేకుంటే కొంచెం సిగరెట్స్, కొంచెం డ్రగ్స్ ఆర్ సైకాటిక్ డ్రగ్స్ అట్లా చేసుకొని వాట్ హ్యాపెన్, దే బికమ్ అడిక్టెడ్. వన్స్ దే బికమ్ అడిక్టెడ్, వాట్ విల్ హ్యాపెన్, దే ఆర్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు బీ వితౌట్ దట్. దే విల్ బికమ్ డిపెండెంట్ యూజర్స్. డిపెండెంట్ యూజర్స్ అంటే ఆల్కహాల్ లేకుండా ఉండలేం. అలాగనే
they can't live without that substances.
పొద్దున్న లేవగానే they want the bottle. They don't even want to have the breakfast. Right? Like that, there are many people, even in some auto fellows also, they cannot drive if they don't take alcohol. Sunam kotevalu, sometimes even drivers, they cannot drive properly because they are taking so much. They are, only when they take, they will be steady. Like they will shiver, their hand will shiver. So those are dependent persons. They are dependent on substances. They have become over a period of time. Maybe started in adolescent and they continued even after the thing. You ask, I had one counseling session with one fellow. He told me, madam, 17 years, when I was 17, I started. And today he was complete alcoholic, complete. He's not able to come out of it, addicted. So he was sent to rehabilitation home. He was sent for, addiction, de-addiction center. Malli is not able to. He's struggling. We are trying to help, but he's still struggling. Okay, so these are all the kind of things that happens. Okay, so let me move on to the page. Okay, so more or less I'm telling you about everything here. Adolescent biological wired, yes. Many factors influence, yes. I told you peer pressure can, one of the things. Family environment is all very important. Violence, physical or emotional abuse. Okay, sorry, mental illness or drug abuse in the household itself increases likelihood of adolescent use of drugs. Like maybe somebody smokes in the family, or maybe mother, father, everybody drinks in the family. So it is. Okay, so finally, an adolescent inherited genetic vulnerability that is running in the genes, and personality traits like poor impulse control or high need for excitement, or mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, or ADHD. And beliefs such as that drugs are cool or harmless make it more likely for the adolescents to use the drugs. The adolescents is a critical, okay, when they're very vulnerable, the parts of the brain, the process of feeling of reward and pain is crucial drivers for drug use are the most first mature during the childhood. What remains incomplete developed during the teen years are prefrontal cortex and the connections to the brain regions. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for assessing situation, making sound decisions, and controlling our emotion impulses. Typically, the circuitry is not mature until the person is in his or her mid-20s. Okay, so it takes the brain to develop. Okay, adolescent stage is still in the process of development. The adolescent brain is often likened like a car with a fully functioning gas pedal, right? But weak brakes. Adolescents are highly motivated to pursue pleasurable rewards and avoid pain, but the judgment and decision-making skills are still limited. Okay, this affects the ability of weigh risk accurately and make sound decisions, including decisions about using of drugs. For these reasons, adolescents are major target for prevention messages, promoting healthy, drug-free behavior and giving young people encouragement. That is why even the government and international organizations and all, they spread awareness in the month of June, okay, where they celebrate International Day of Drug Addiction and illicit trafficking of drugs. Okay.
Ma'am, I have one doubt. Can I ask that?
Yeah, tell me.
This ADHD, in which stage of age we will get? In the small kids in the age we will get ADHD, or we'll get if you're adult also we will get that type of ADHD problems?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Like ADHD, I saw in the childhood time. Few kids I saw they have an ADHD problem.
Yeah.
And this problem may in the childhood they don't have ADHD. In the adult time they will get that ADHD problem.
It was there. It will be. It must be. They were predisposed to. Probably we don't know. Actually, we cannot. Okay. We can never say which age what will come. Right. So if exactly. It is the gene, when it is a vulnerable stage, the person is predisposed to that. For example, if my mother has a thyroid, right, there is all possibility for me to also to get a thyroid, right? Thyroid, TSH, yes. Thyroid, right? But if I am maintaining my health by exercise, by healthy diet, right, by thinking positively, by being involved in meaningful work, right, by living a positive life, when I'm doing all this, I may not develop any thyroid syndrome.
Problem, any causes, okay.
Hormonal, I may not develop. But okay. I have the predisposition in the genes. So, but when something goes, disturbance is there, then I may develop that, right? Okay. So similarly, now some children may not have these issues up to certain age. So there could be some issue coming, maybe in the adolescent stage, maybe some death in the family, maybe some worst case scenario, or maybe there is a suicide, or maybe there is a terminal illness or something. So they are disturbed. So during the disturbed periods, if they are predisposed to these issues, that time it can come. Okay, and that can be any time.
So there are many chances. Okay.
Chances are higher. Chances are higher. Okay. So we cannot fix up a time and say, "Ee time lone eelaku ADHD." But adolescence is a vulnerable period. Endukante appudu there are so many changes happening in the body and mind. Kabatti they are predisposed for many things. Andike we have to be very, very. They say adolescence age, we have to look after children very carefully. Because that is the period they can easily be influenced by peers. That is the period they can get into risky behaviors of getting into substance abuse, or even getting into premarital sex or premarital sex, or or into unprotected sexual intercourse. All these are vulnerable type because they are in that phase, right? Exactly. And decision making is an issue at that time. Problem solving is an issue. Okay, yeah. So risk in substance, and not all adolescents are great risk for developing addiction. Various factors, including and genetic predisposition, and adverse experiences in early life, trying drugs, developing and substance abuse are likely. Exposure to stress, such as emotional or physical abuse in childhood, primes the brain to sensitive to stress and seek relief. I am on page number 119. Throughout the life, that greatly increases the likelihood of subsequent drug abuses and starting drug abuse early. In certain traits that put a person to risk of drug abuse, such as being impulsive or aggressive, it manifests well before the first episode of drug abuse and may be addressed prevention interventions during the childhood. By the same token, a range of factors such as parenting, that is nurturing, or a healthy school of environment may encourage healthy development and thereby lessen the risk of later drug abuse. Drug use at an early age is an important predictor for development of a substance disorder later on. The majority of those who have substance use disorders started using before age of 18 and develop the disorder by the time they are 20. The likelihood of developing substance use disorder is greatest in those who begin early in their teens. That is why teenage is very important. Adolescent phase is very important. Tobacco, alcohol, marijuana are the first addictive substances that people will try. Most adolescents do not escalate from trying drugs to developing an addiction to substance abuse or disorder. However, even experimenting with drugs is a problem. Drug usage can be part of a risky behavior, including unsafe sex, driving while intoxicated, or hazardous unsupervised activities. And in the case teen does develop pattern repeated use, it can pose serious health. Okay, so now all this, right? See, drug abuse also suddenly nobody will go and take hard drugs. It will always begin small, from the softer to the hard, right? Slowly they may begin first. If they had alcohol addiction, will actually begin slowly first from the kallu or the local water or the beer. From there they start promoting to whiskey or to rum or to vodka or whatever it is. So it's a transition, like from the softer kind of a drinks to a hard drinks. Similarly, they begin with the cigarette. Then slowly from the cigarette they move on. Anta kick ledu, little more kick I want. Like, so they move on to the other aspects. Then they keep on escalating like that. So from again the softer use of a drug abuse to a harder use of it. And then they again go on to different methods. Then they start sniffing, they put in the hand and they sniff like that, right? Then they sniff like this, and then they will use psychotic medicines. Sometimes they will finish up bottles of paracetamols, because that also can be intoxicating. Yeah, different flavors and tastes. Yeah, so like that. So even if they're just not needed. And what happens due to all this when they do this experimentation, and it takes time for them to get into, because first they took only beer. It is not now anta cast, hey, put you the beer. Let us today try something else. Like that, they progress. Our progression time they become addicted, right? And what are the things how we can make out, especially for youngsters, if you are getting into alcohol or drug abuse, we can make out a secretive behavior. They're very secretive about what is in their bag. They're very secretive about whom they are talking. When the call comes, they'll go right out to talk so that nobody hears. In their bag, there'll be so many things. Okay, so school failure, they don't do well in academics, they go down, right? So school failure, problems with family and other relationships, loss of interest in normal healthy activities, impaired memory, they are not able to concentrate, increases of contracting infectious diseases like HIV or HIV, when they have unprotected sexual intercourse, out of intoxication, they may go and visit some commercial or some prostitution area, red light area, and they may want to experiment with sex, right? Or they may even drive. So many police catches so many drunken driving cases on New Year parties and other parties, okay? And then mental health issues, including substance disorders of variety, right? And the very risk of overdosage and death. This is a very, very serious thing. Finally, when they are not able to deal with that, they will take so much that it will cause overdosage. Overdosage can lead to even death, right? There are people who die of overdosage. When substance use disorder in adolescence, the effect is the development. Okay. So all this, you read up a little more, you all will be able to understand what are the risks, okay? So what are the mental disorders associated with eating disorders? There are two which I told you, that is anorexia nervosa and bulimia.
Plumeria.
Yes. So these two, right? These two will come under. So you can write about them, explain that, you'll understand. What are some of the reasons for adolescent substance abuse? There are so many reasons for the adolescent for substance abuse. It could be family issues, it could be peer pressure, it could be experimentation, right? It could be so many things. Okay. Now I am on page number 120, that is sexually transmitted diseases. Okay. Now sexual health is more than the absence of disease. It is the presence of self-knowledge and body acceptance, motivation to stay healthy, an ability to communicate what we do not want, and much more. Because sexuality is such a complex dimension of development. Communities, schools, and families all have a role to play in supporting young people's well-being. However, many adolescents grow up in environments that do not adequately prioritize health, leaving young people to bear the burden of high rates of sexually transmitted diseases. Okay, approximately 1 in 5. Okay, sexually active adolescent contracts a sexually transmitted disease, that is STDs such as syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, genital herpes, or AIDS, which left untreated can cause problems ranging from sterility to death and in infected individuals, and can lead to birth defects and other complications for his or her children. Clear risk of STD is the highest for adolescents who fail to use condoms regularly and for those who have sex with multiple partners. Okay, so you are aware of this thing. See, sexual health is a normal sexual development that we need to be healthy. Now, keeping ourselves not only hygienic but also ensuring that we do not get into any form of risky behaviors, right? Which I already told you even before. Okay, unprotected sexual intercourse. Unprotected sexual intercourse means having intercourse with a person without usage of condoms, right? But even that, I would say, even the condom company also is not giving any guarantee, right? So I would say refrain from having any sexual intercourse before marriage. This is the best thing to do. Abstain. They say abstain so that you can be faithful to your partner. And if at all, by mistake, you have got into this kind of a behavior, at least ensure that you use the condom, right? That is what has been promoted by the government. They call it the ABCs: abstain, be faithful, and utilization of condoms. Okay. And then in case you are because you are young, you're vulnerable, you're only 18 or 19, you had sexual intercourse by maybe with a boy or a girl or whatever, vice versa, and then you got the taste of it and now you want to have more. Then you continue to have it more than one person. Then what happens? Then you develop sexually transmitted diseases, right? Because that sexually transmitted disease is the one person, maybe one of the lady may be having, or one of the man may be having. We do not know, right? So when you have unprotected sexual intercourse with a man or woman, vice versa, you may carry that infection to your body, and then when you go to another person, and you may transmit to the next person. So multi-partner sex, right? So this will cause more problems to you, and that is all the sexually transmitted diseases like syphilis, gonorrhea, and all those kind of things, right? Where your private areas will be infected, where you'll have all kinds of ulcers and all, you will not be able to handle it. It's a very, very risky thing. So the best thing to do is practice safe sex behaviors. Abstain yourself, right? And limit yourself to just maybe hugging. That's fine, right? Maybe a kiss on your cheek. That's fine. It's okay. You're not really risking. But do not get into unprotected sexual behaviors to prevent STDs and also HIV. HIV. What is HIV? Human immunovirus. Human immunovirus is a disease that is only treatable, right? Once it is contracted, you cannot go. And once you become HIV, it will take some time, maybe depending on your immunity, it will take time till it turns to be AIDS. And then there is only death. Okay, so be aware of this kind of thing. So there are classifications given here. Please go through your books. It is 121. Classification of STDs classified by the organism that causes the disease, bacteria, virus, or protozoa. Okay, so please read up all this. You will have a better understanding. Yeah. And then point 9.4.2 factors contributing to the spread of STDs. So what are the factors that contribute? Okay, that could be biological factors that affect the spread and complication of STDs. Asymptomatic nature of STDs. The majority of STDs either do not produce any symptoms or signs, or they may produce some mild and that they are unnoticed. Consequently, many infected persons do not know that they need medical care. So startingly, it may not show, it may not be so obvious, but later on, maybe it might come up. So that's why many people also neglect. Women suffer more frequent and more serious STD complications than men do. Among the most serious STD complications are pelvic inflammatory diseases, ectopic pregnancy, pregnancy outside the uterus, and infertility and chronic pelvic pain. Right? Age disparities. Young people in the age of 15 to 24. See, there is a study done by UNICEF also. The age group which is very vulnerable is 15 to 24. Okay, and HIV infections are very, very high in this age group. Meaning to say, this age group is sexually active anamata. Right? Earlier, people took, the age group was maybe 18 like that. But now it is coming down. Even people at the age of 10, 11 are also getting into wanting to have a sexual experiences. So the age limit also is coming down. Okay, so the young people in this group fall for all this STD and they represent 25% of the sexually experienced population. Adolescent females may increase susceptibility to infection because of the increased cervix atrophy. Because the genital organs are inside for the women, they are more prone and more vulnerable. Okay. Then socio-economic and behavioral factors. The spread of STD is directly impacted by socio-economic and research factors are serious obstacle to prevention. Okay. So among this are vulnerable population, historical experience, segregation, discrimination. Okay. So read up all this. Racial and ethnic disparities, poverty and marginalization. STDs disproportionately affect disadvantaged people in social network where high risk behavior is common, either in care or health seeking behavior promise. Access to healthcare. Okay, access to high quality of healthcare is essential and early detection. Substance abuse. Many studies document association of substance abuse with STDs. Okay. Okay. Sexuality and secrecy. Perhaps the most important social factors contributing to the spread of STD are the stigma associated with the STDs and the general discomfort of discussing intimate aspects of life, especially those related to sex. You know that in the Indian culture, it is very difficult for people to be talking about sex openly. You can't talk in the families, right? Nobody is going to give you sex education, right? Even in the schools, the sex education chapter is just skipped because the comfort level is not there. You have to be comforted in your own sexuality to be able to talk about sexuality, right? So it is maintained still as a secret. So the parents think they should not talk about sex in front of the children, right? So what do the children do? They go hide and get information from the wrong places. That's how youngsters get into pornography. They get into blue films. They get into video films. They watch all that because why? They are not getting the correct information from the correct source. So what happened? They'll have to use the other source. Okay. Screening and treatment. When caught in the early stages, STDs are easily treated. Okay, these cannot be cured, cannot be managed. Screening is important for sexually active people, including adolescents. Often no visible signs or symptoms are there. Okay, so all the government hospitals do screenings. Okay, so if you go there, you will find all these facilities available, not only for adolescents, but it is open for all. Okay, even for screening for HIV, screening for this one, screening even for substance abuse also in certain the detox centers and all is again. Okay. Now we move on to 9.5, that is depression and suicide. Okay, depression is a combination of symptoms including change in mood, physical symptom like changes in sleep, energy, and appetite. The person's degree of confidence. At least 5% of adolescents, roughly 1 in 20 adolescents will experience an episode. Major depression making it one of the most common medical illnesses among young people. Prior to puberty, males and females report similar rates of depression. During and after adolescence, females begin to show higher rates of illness, nearly 2 in 1. Depression is associated with increased risk of substance abuse, unemployment, early pregnancy, and education underachievement. Suicide, the most serious risk of illness, is the third leading cause of death in this age group. That is the 15 to 24 old, and second leading cause of death among college students. There is a clear link between depression and suicide. Thankfully, suicide is a relatively rare consequence of depression. Consequently, it is critical that anyone suffering from depression be recognized and treated, despite one of the most common medical illnesses. Okay, so you go through all this, you will be able to understand the treatment gap part is due to stigma. Okay, so depression is one of the mental illnesses. Okay, we'll look at what are the symptoms of depression and how it can be dealt with. Here you see, they are given a change in the mood, right? You feel highly joyful, you feel very sad, there is a erratic change in the mood. Okay, that is one of the symptoms. Please read up that. And then there is changes in the physical symptoms. What are the changes in the physical symptom? Overeating, tendency to put on heavy weight, or not eating at all, becoming very thin, right? So your eating patterns have changed, your moods have changed, your sleep has changed, your sleeping patterns. Either you're oversleeping or you're not sleeping at all, right? So all these are the disturbing. And then
person beating also.
Sorry?
Beat to all persons, family members.
Ah,
The patient also beat his parents when in
patient.
or the physical activity mean the patient beat the parents also. The
Ah,
depression patients are sleepless and he beat to his father, mother. He
hmm,
beat his parents also.
hmm. So they will be isolated most of the time. They will not be interacting with the parents. They will roam
Yes,
alone, right? They won't
and
sleep
negative thoughts
properly.
also.
Yeah, they may not be interested in studies. Their energy levels may be very low. They may be too much thinking negatively. They
Yeah,
may have suicidal ideations, too much overthinking, too much negative thinking,
yes,
right? They will not stop all social contacts. They will
yeah.
not have any friends. They will cut away
And
from
he's
people.
not joining with the group persons.
Yes, not
He
joining in
living
the,
alone.
yeah, very good. So they are not joining in the group. No, so all these are symptoms of depression. If you are able to find 3, 4, 5 symptoms, that means it's a warning. The simple thing to do is meet a counselor. You meet a counselor, the counselor will help. The counselor will look at and do an assessment about how you are, whether you are sleeping well, whether you are eating well. She will assess your thought processes. What are your thinking patterns? Are they too much negative? Do you have suicidal ideation? She will assess your moods. What are your moods pattern? Are you high and are you low? And do you have any suicidal thought? And accordingly, she will help. Okay. So when you read up this whole thing, you will have a better understanding. But for you to understand, I just touched upon all these things, with the severe depression. And this depression, sometimes it can be caused, maybe mostly among youngsters, it is sometimes, when they are not doing well in academics, if they are having a failure. Now, one topper suddenly feels that he got less marks. I had students, even they have got only some 5, 6 marks less than 90. They don't want to live because they have raised up the standards of their academics, right? And there are some students, the love failure, that girl dish or the boy dish, they want to jump from the. Every day, read in the newspaper how many youngsters are killing themselves. They're dying from the building, they're hanging themselves, they're drinking of Harpic bottles, so many swallowing of the tablets, all these different forms, so many things. Anyway, we talk about it when it comes to suicide, but it is closely linked. But depression is treatable.
Yes,
Depression is because mental health is a stigma. People are not talking about depression.
yeah.
Now they think, "अरे मेरे को क्या हुआ? Maybe मैं पागल हो गया." They are thinking अभी जो mental health is mental illness. No, there is difference.
స్టార్టింగ్ లోనే వాళ్ళకు
Mental
ట్రీట్మెంట్ చేస్తే తొందరగా క్యూర్ అయ్యే అవకాశాలు ఉంటాయి. లేకుంటే
అవకాశం ఉంది.
ఎక్కువ
Yes,
లేట్ అవుతే పేషెంట్ కి డేంజర్.
yes. So treatment తీసుకొని వాళ్ళు కౌన్సిలింగ్ కూడా తీసుకోవాలా.
యా,
అవి క్యాన్
ట్రీట్మెంట్ తో
ఇప్పుడు
పాటు
వాళ్ళు జస్ట్
యాంటీ
డాక్టర్
సైకోసిస్
దగ్గర
డ్రగ్స్ తో పాటు కౌన్సిలింగ్ కూడా మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్.
counseling. So when you are taking medication and counseling, both together will heal you
యా,
because medication will deal only with symptoms.
యా,
Symptoms chala jayega, but then afterwards again it will reoccur. Then how you
yes,
are dealing with that? So counseling will help you. So in
yes,
counseling, they'll teach you how to deal with the moods,
yes,
how to be healthy life, how to
yes,
practice the meditation,
yes.
how to practice breathing exercise. All this will come in the counseling part.
Yeah,
Okay?
doctor find the disease diagnostic, which type of depression look like
Yes.
cystinuria, postmortem
Yeah,
psychosis.
assessment. Yeah,
Yeah,
so the counselor will send to the clinical psychologist. The
yes,
clinical psychologist will diagnose, and
yeah.
then if there is a requirement for a doctor, they will send to the second.
Antipsychosis drugs and counseling.
Yes, yes, very good. Okay, so that is also change in attitudes. Okay, judgment may be impaired. So depression, you read up this whole thing, you'll definitely be able to understand. It's in a very simple language only. We move to the suicide. I'm on page number 124. Suicide is defined as a death from injury, poisoning, or suffocation where there is evidence, explicit or implicit, that the injury was self-inflicted and that the decedent intended to kill himself or herself. Suicide is among the 3 leading causes of death worldwide among this age group. So that is the risk. All in the age group of 15 to 24 only, is happening. Suicidal and non-suicidal self-injuries behavior among adults are multifaceted events emerging from biological, cultural, sociological, psychological, and interpersonal factors. And understanding all these factors include depression contribute to self-injuries, right? Self-injuries are very common. People cutting here,
Cut the
people
hands.
cut
Yeah,
a hand, injure themselves. These are good people. It's
yeah,
not that they want to harm themselves. It is just that the pain that they are bearing is so high, they are not able to deal with that.
Yeah.
So this pain is nothing for them, especially people who are going through abuse, people who are going through violence. They are affected more. Okay, and that's why they become vulnerable for suicide. Okay, then family history. Sometimes suicide will run in the family also. Like somebody will say, somebody, "Arey, uska baba bhi aisi kara. Arey, wala mama also died like the same thing. Wala anna kuda itlane poindu." Like that they will talk. So it is also
A
sometimes
genetic disorder.
yeah, genetic predisposition may be there. So family history, twin and adoption studies suggest the genetic vulnerability to suicide. Many studies have found link between low serotonin levels and suicide. Low serotonin level is the hormones, right? Serotonin level, when you practice healthy behavior, walking, exercise, meditation, your body releases hormones, natural hormones, which will keep you happy. Like body releases endorphins, which will keep you happy. Then there is a less chances for you to become sad, to become depressed, right? When you are socially connected with friends, at least you are able to talk about it. You are able to share. You have somebody to help you. You have somebody to comfort you. Then things get sorted. Okay. So suicide, that's why we have suicide hotlines, crisis intervention programs. So we have suicide helplines, we have suicide prevention organizations working like in the city, like Roshni Counseling Center, Seva, like that, so many organizations that
The
earlier MAP
rehabilitation
was there.
centers also.
Yes, yes. Okay. Now we come to the juvenile delinquency, right? Which is on page number 125. Delinquent and criminal behavior among adolescents. What is juvenile delinquency? These young people, the small age group people, that is 15 to 24, they get into risky behaviors of, murdering or, or abusive and alcohol and all these kind of things, right? So it is called the juvenile delinquency. They won't be put into prisons. They'll be put into juvenile home. So delinquent and criminal behavior among adolescents is what makes them delinquent. Okay. So young people, I am on page number 126. Young people who are at risk of becoming delinquent often live in difficult circumstances. Children who are for various reasons, including parental alcoholism, poverty, breakdown of family, or divorce, or overcrowding, abusive situation, or HIV, all these issues, right, can influence them. Okay. The number of children, especially in difficult circumstances, is estimated to have increased from 80 million to 150 million between 1992 to 2000. The problem of juvenile delinquency is becoming more complicated and universal, and the crime prevention programs are either equipped to deal with present realities do not exist. Okay, so this is what is, you read up this whole chapter, you'll be able to better understand about delinquency. Okay, so mostly this kind of children, right, they're from the early ages are influenced by maybe the family members or maybe the peers and all to get into delinquent behavior. And when there is a criminal case or the criminal behavior by them, they are put into juvenile homes. Okay, so that is why this is of juvenile delinquency. Kindly read up the chapter, you'll have a better understanding. Then we move to 9.7, that is the career planning. There are various developmental factors that affect the adolescent's ability to willingness engage in career planning. The cognitive and social development areas are closely linked in adolescent. Okay, so cognitive development affects the way in which the students affects the way the students think about careers and affect their interest in the future. While social developments or identity development affects how they feel about the career, therefore affects success of the exploration. Okay, so cognitive shifts can be observed in how students make decisions. Those in the earlier grades consider the themes at a concrete level, whereas students in the later grades have the ability to conceptualize themes and concepts. Okay, so maintaining a supportive environment with the encouragement from the adults to explore the rationale behind their interests and choices create this. This allows them to build skills and expand career interests that are likely to carry over further vocational research. Support from counselors also helps to reduce the negative emotions or the pressure of the processes, to internalize values and motivation, to overcome challenges, to foster improved school engagement and performance. So strategy to support adolescent career development. The intent behind adolescent and career counseling is to have teenagers develop realistic perspectives on their skills and interests in order to allow them to set achievable goals. Adolescent engagement with the career information that is developmentally appropriate. Engagement and relevance will help them build strong sense of ownership or self-confidence. especially for younger students. One way to establish relevance, especially for adolescents, is the way to delivery method, lecture, technology, role play, etc. Okay. And the second is the ensure continued interest in the career information in order that the young adolescent must be allowed to explore more. They get support to be supported. They need time to see what possibilities exist beyond school and test their emerging identities. This allows students to progress to more advanced exploration as they age, which may allow greater career skill development and employability skill. Developmentally appropriate content and theory of career while engaging. Okay. And the third is the seek assistance of the most influential individuals in the student's career decision making are their parents. Parental support is an overriding necessity of any school-based counsel career model for adolescent. So increasing engagement, student engagement, ensuring ongoing interest and involving parents, adolescent career information increases probability of student using the career information in a meaningful manner. It is especially crucial for school counselors to ensure that the methods and information used in career counseling are helpful for students. This may be the only opportunity for adolescents to receive career training before they enter the world of work. Okay. So additionally, these differences in identity and social development are related to stress or confidence in the process of outcome of career planning, such as models would be wise to incorporate content to address these differences. This is what is needed to build productive, successful, and satisfied workers of the future. Okay, so with this, we complete chapter 9. Okay, you have a summary here, you have questions, right? And go through the pages again, you'll be able to understand better, check your progress. There is model answers here and there is also model questions given. Try and answer these model questions and also answer the short question and thus prepare yourself, right? With this, we end the block 3 and then we complete unit 9. So tomorrow we will move to block 4 and then we complete the unit 10 and 11, which may not take us. Okay, we'll try our best. I will try my best to complete both 10 and 11 tomorrow. Okay, and if there is anything to ask, you can ask me tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. Now I end the session.
Ma'am, tomorrow also we have lifespan development.
Yes.
And
also lifespan development. I will be dealing unit 10 and unit 11. Lifespan
and who will deal the educational psychology? Even I have that topic also.
I have, you check with the university, ma, because they are the ones who are allotting. For me, they allotted this, so I have come into picture. Okay?
Okay. Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you
have
for explanation.
Bye-bye. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Have a nice weekend.
Good class, madam.
Thank you.